Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Agent Accelerator podcast, where we use modern marketing and industry secrets to help you accelerate your business. Today, I'm bringing in a very special guest. This is somebody who has really helped me personally develop a content strategy, come up with new ideas. Her work is fantastic. She specializes in storytelling and using the most modern techniques to make amazing videos and make you look good. This is Stormie Kadar. Thank you for being on the show, Stormie.
Gio, it's such an honor to be on your show. I mean, we've known each other for quite a while now and been of creating together. So to have it come full circle and to be sitting here now, it's an honor.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you. Yeah, I'm honored to have you. So, I want to ask you a question just to get things rolling, okay? So this is something I love to ask people, and it's something I wrote a very, very passionate essay about in my first year of college. What superpower would you have and why?
I feel like this has morphed throughout the years. Like as you enter, it's weird. I used to want to have invisibility. I was like, you know what? Sometimes it's good to not know what you don't want to know. If I was invisible, I feel like I would like go places and hear conversations that I maybe would actually be better off just not hearing. So I think I would actually go with being able to breathe underwater.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a big curveball. That's super solid.
Yeah, because I've always wanted to free dive, and I just think like it'd be like uncovering a second Earth. Like there's actually more ocean than there is land. So being able to explore that freely and not have to do the scuba stuff. What's yours, Gio? What the heck's your superpower?
I'm not gonna lie, that's like compelling. Like that's a brand new thing to me. I've never thought of that. So mine for the longest time has been teleporting. I felt like if I could teleport, then I could do anything. I could fly. I could teleport to the sky and like free fall for a bit, then keep teleporting.
Wait, I think flying and teleportation are two different superpowers.
They are, but it's like you can get flying if you have teleporting. You see what I'm saying? Like you teleport up, free fall, teleport. Like you're essentially like flying.
Yes.
So, anyways, this podcast isn't about the superpowers. It's about storytelling, creating content, and media, right? I see all the stuff you're making, and that's actually how you and I met. Was I saw something you had created with someone else, and I said, wow, I want to be making videos like this. I want to be presented like this. And I reached out to you, and I mean, from day one, you were super professional, very organized. I remember I called you having no idea what I wanted to make. I just knew I wanted to make a video. And you asked me questions, and just from that 15-minute call, we kind of made a plan. You told me what I needed to have, and then we met up and made what is still probably one of my favorite videos. I don't know if you remember. It was like
Yeah, I remember. It was like an About Me video.
Yeah,
and that's still one of my favorite, too. The energy and just meeting you, and I think everything just flowed so well.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you agents who are out there who are struggling with getting started on content, let me tell you how ready I was to make this. I got sent the video that you made, and I said, I want to make this. That morning, the day we were filming, I still did not have a place for us to film at.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
So I was calling people saying like, can I use your vacant house? Can I use your vacant house? Can I use your vacant house? Finally, someone walked in, another agent, and he goes, oh, I have a vacant house you can use.
Pays to have agents that are on your good side, right?
Yeah, so that's something I want to get to later. But before we talk more about that, I want to talk more about you, Stormie, and your background. And I don't know where we start. Tell me about how you got into videography, how you got here in San Diego, and just tell me a little bit about your background here.
Yeah, of course. Well, Gio, you were one of my OG clients, actually. Like I would say like on the first 10. So that's super special. But if we backtrack a little bit, was working on cruise ships, on Carnival cruise ships. And I think that was actually the first video that Gio saw. Like, I guess when you work with people, you Google their name.
That's what I do, yeah.
Make sure they're not a serial killer or something like this. And he saw one of my activities that I was hosting on the cruise ships on YouTube.
It's actually, if you want to, it's on YouTube. I don't know if it's gone yet. So look up Stormie Kadar on YouTube if you want to see
hairy chest
competition led by yours truly right here.
That's another story. But anyway, and so I had obviously lost my job working on the cruise ships from the pandemic. I found myself back home in Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from, kind of living at home with my family, who I love dearly, but I was like, this is kind of a big change from being on my own all those years. So I looked at a map of the United States and I was like, I have some savings from cruise ships. Where do I want to go to maybe start my next chapter of life? And it's like, oh, San Diego. Like, I've never been there before. I hear it has the best surfing all year round. So that's all I knew. And I was like, let's go there. Long story short, I'm living at this hostel for 6 months, which I'm working in exchange for accommodation, just kind of floating by. Everybody's looking for a new job, like not sure what's going on with the pandemic. And there was this real estate agent living in the hostel as well. And he's like, hey, Stormie, every industry is not doing so hot right now, but real estate is booming, which is kind of, it was like the one industry that was doing well.
It was crazy.
And so he was like, I think I had expressed that I'd wanted to get into film and video, but I had never really bought a camera before and all those things. And he's like, hey, why don't you, buy a camera, start shooting some photo and video for me, and make some money during the pandemic, and we can kind of help each other. I can be the person that's like your first client, that's an official realtor, and it can help you build your portfolio in that way.
Wow.
And it was just from there, I started to shoot with him. And I thought I would just be a real estate photographer, videographer. And then it turned into like, someone asked me, I remember one day, can you shoot a hip hop music video in the desert? And I was like, that is so, I don't know why you think that I'm qualified for that. My portfolio doesn't have any of that in there. But that was the start of kind of branching off into, now I work for restaurants, now I work for nightclubs. And like, if I hadn't said yes to all those things, I was just kind of experimenting, I wouldn't have, had the niches and experience that I have now. But yeah, that's
what a story. That's so fantastic. So you started off with, so let's transition a little bit into that real estate space. So you said like you enjoyed doing photography for listings, and you were doing listing videos originally, right? So tell me about like how you got into the real estate world and what exactly you were doing for real estate.
Yeah, so at first I just wanted to start simple, which I think is a really good tip for people who are just getting started and stuff like that. Like, instead of, fortunately, I didn't try starting to do every single thing. I just focused on real estate photography. And I reached out like on Instagram to a girl who had been doing them in LA, and she saw Zooey Deschanel's house and a bunch of celebrities, and Los Angeles, like really modern architecture. I was like, how did you get started? She kind of told me like the first things, like, you just want to go and build your portfolio of shooting houses, like, beautiful houses, ideally the best. And I had the one connection, and we were doing stuff infrequently, but I really wanted to accelerate my portfolio to give me more opportunities. So I remember I got my tripod and I drove around San Diego. I went to Sunset Cliffs, where there's beautiful houses.
It's beautiful everything. Yeah, it's amazing over there.
I mean, some of them people have abandoned since like the 80s. But
then you focus on the view. Yeah.
Yes. So I got out of my car. I drove around. I think I got out like 10 times. And I would photograph the houses really quick. And then I'd jump back in my car. They weren't for sale. Someone was living in them. But that's how I built my first set of portfolio that I had on my website.
Wow.
And then I reached out to agents from there and was like, hey, I've shot like these $2 million houses. Do you need any real estate media? And so, yeah, that was kind of to catapult there. A lot of YouTube videos I learned on YouTube. There's multiple different ways on how to shoot real estate photos. I focused on natural lighting with bracketed. And real estate photography is not my main focus now, but if I were to kind of go forward with that, I'd get into flash, and there's kind of different styles, just depending on different houses and needs. But I really fell in love with real estate videography. I just love like the gimbal and walking through the house and the views and the drone that you kind of can't capture sometimes in photos. And that's why I think like you typically get a mix of photo and video. I'd say I just think video kind of doesn't lie. Like, it really gives a real feeling. And I feel like people maybe don't always trust photo because they're like, is that door photoshopped? Is that paint photoshopped?
Is that room as big as it looks in this photo? Is it as bright as it looks? So let's zoom in on what you're saying here, and that's video and storytelling, right? And I think that's something that you do very, very well. If anyone can look at your content and see what you're creating, whether it's a nightclub, whether it's Babe Kombucha, which is one of your partners, or you work with them, or how does this?
Yeah, the way I started working with Babe Kombucha, who is also one of my OG clients, I'm very thankful to still be connected with a lot of like the first clients that I've had and to grow with them. I was running in my neighborhood. They live very close to where I live, and I saw the sign, oh, Babe Kombucha, like they have a unique logo. And I was just doing real estate at the time, and I wanted to, hey, maybe I'll work for a beverage brand. Let's just try it out. Like maybe I enjoy beverage photography in video. And running past their house one day, and I went in and grabbed a 6-pack of their hard kombucha and just decided to make a fun video with my friends. One of my great video mentors, a great way to build your portfolio is to make spec ads. Like go out when you're just starting, make a free video, but always, make the free video in a way that builds your portfolio to then land bigger clients.
Right,
like
it's attractive. So, it's a nice video.
Yeah, and I really liked the kombucha. I normally had not liked kombucha, and made this cool video with my friends for fun. Sent it to them, kind of not expecting anything, but they had a great product, but they didn't have a lot of marketing. They just had iPhone photography, iPhone video, and so I was like, hey, this is a really good opportunity to maybe elevate their brand with professional media. And long story short, I sent them the video. They absolutely loved it, and that kind of began our relationship. And now, 2.5 years later, they're in Erewhon. We just got in all Sprouts across the nation.
Wow.
And I would like to think, of course, it's like a team effort, but
Absolutely.
I would like to think that if they had not started with professional media, just having those good can shots, those good product shots, the lifestyle shots, places like Erewhon they kind of want that quality to be in their stores. So it's cool to know that maybe that played a part in
Absolutely.
the growth of the brand. For all my clients, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's such a unique skill to have where you can bring people's talents, specialties, and highlight what they're good at, highlight their good product, right? So like what I was saying was you do a really good job of that. You storytell, like some of the nightclub videos you shoot, I think I've told you this before, is like I'm in bed, half asleep, and I'll see a video of like a nightclub, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, I'm missing out. I want to be there. I haven't been to one like a year, but all of a sudden I'm like, man, I really wish I was there. Like you have that ability. So let's talk about your approach to content and your approach to the storytelling elements of making a video. When you're shooting, let's say, the nightclub or even a house, when you're shooting these things, what is your approach to it? How do you visually decide what story you're going to tell or how you're going to create this? What's your process like?
Yeah, I'm definitely a huge believer in pre-production. I know you and me have kind of gone through that process a lot with our shoots of let's gather as much information as we can before to really, even with events and things, sometimes it's just kind of how it unfolds, or on a real estate shoot, the weather can be a factor. All these things can be a factor. But if you do a lot of the pre-production work, you can kind of go in and craft that as well as possible. So,
what's pre-production work? Like, what's that mean?
Yeah, pre-production. So asking the client, like, what do you want? Maybe it's like a barn style house, or maybe it's a very modern style house. What's that music going to look like? What are the shots going to look like? If you're filming a very country chic house, maybe we're not going to have a lot of fast speed ramps in the video and crazy EDM music in the background. So kind of setting those boundaries beforehand with the client and really seeing like, what's your target audience for this house? Who's going to be living here? And then when I go in on shoot day, I can be like, okay, nice slow pans, the details of the textures of the cabinets and the details here. So I just always try and find the purpose and intention of the media prior to that.
So then with the nightclubs, it's like the goal is to make people want to go there.
Yeah,
so
big FOMO vibes.
Yeah.
And they put that in the email like, oh no.
You're good.
I have like, with the mic, I'm like such an expressive person.
Yeah, I'm the same. My wife's like, hey,
like,
calm your hands down a little bit. Every time I'm like talking.
But in the email brief, they put like, we want big FOMO vibes. And I remember,
I wouldn't even know what to do with that information, Stormie. Like, that's amazing to me that they can put that in there and you know what to do with that info. Because
but it didn't always start
I wouldn't know
like
what
that.
to do. Yeah, so tell me, like, how'd you get there? Like, how do we bridge that gap from someone who's where I am and I don't know what that even means or how to create that and I want to? How do you get there? How do you learn? Is it just more reps? Is it just creating more? Or what do you think?
I think it's a lot comparable to like being a real estate agent. You're entrepreneurial. You are failing to learn. The more you fail, the more you learn. And once I learned to turn that into a tool, I was very, very discouraged. Even though I do think that maybe my beginning pieces, I've always been a very creative person. And so I like to think that my first pieces, I wasn't super like not proud of them. Like, oh, that's complete trash or whatever. But there were parts where I was discouraged because the client maybe didn't like the video, or they're like, hey, we need more of this, we need more of this. And just learning like, okay, what is FOMO vibes, or what are these things like? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get it better next time. Maybe I didn't get as much dancing shots, or I didn't get the view of a real estate house. Like I totally missed the view of the ocean, and it's an oceanside property. It's like, okay, we'll just get that next time. Like
Now you
constantly
know.
learning. Now I know. So now I go into a nightclub or a real estate or a home. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what to get. I know exactly what I'm looking for, what I'm not looking for. But yeah, just a series of repetition. I guess it's maybe the same when you're working with clients now. Like the only way that I feel like you are super, one thing about Gio is he's like the most personable person ever. And that's what I loved so much about working with you and getting to work with clients, that not only, we're not only creating, but I'm really enjoying creating with this person, and you're one of those people.
Thank you.
So I would imagine it's the same with real estates and working with clients.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's just a learning and tailoring each individual cycle of client to learning from it, right? And that worked really well. People really like when I do this, or that's what people mean when they say this, So those are definitely skills you learn through. So it's just practice and repetition, right? I will say though, like, you're early. I don't know. You said I was one of your OG clients. I would have never guessed because the quality and what we were making was excellent. And you showed up with like all this gear. So let's just, for the videographer people in the room who also know about video, like tell me your shooting gear now for a real estate house.
Yes, my shooting gear now, I guess always evolving. Right now I'm rocking the Sony a7 IV, and I love a good 12 or 16 millimeter lens. I find there's kind of different angles of like wideness that people enjoy. I really like 16 millimeters because it's like not too wide, but it's not too compressed. It kind of gives, and then I love the Sony 1.8 50 millimeter. Just gets that nice, crisp cinematic. So I'll go through the house and do all the wide shots, and then I'll go through the house again and get the really like depth of field, kind of like that bokeh in the background, the blurriness. There's just this really sharp, like cinematic look to it. I just think it really elevates those details of a house. Like if the kitchen has really nice countertops, or the backyard has some really cool specific feature. I love the compressed look and the cinematic style to that. It's very like GQ, Vogue, what have you.
So if you don't know what any of that meant, if you don't know about gimbals or cameras or anything she just said, first off, that's okay. That's why Stormie does what she does, is to help you look awesome and create great content. But let's talk a little bit about agents who want to get started and create content. What are you seeing? I have so many questions about this topic, because another thing once we started working together, I realized we were more interconnected than I would have realized. You had done photography for another agent that I had seen, and I had seen another agent that also used you for branding shots or something. And at the time, I didn't know what branding photography was. So what is branding photography, and how have you seen agents have success with it? Like, who's done it well, and why do you think they did it well?
Yeah, for branding photography sessions with me, I really like to, again, like do that pre-production with a client that's like, okay, for example, Gio. Who is Gio? And I know, I think your wife had like made a branding packet for you that we kind of played off of. So Gio's colors are like a few different shades of blue. What's your personality, Gio? Are you a funny guy? Yes. Are you know what I mean? Like, are you personable? Yes. Like genuine. What do you want your clients to feel when they interact with you? You want them to feel that, versus someone else might be like, hey, I'm not a humorous personality. I am more of like a serious, but like educational and still personable vibe. So I always try and get that. And then we'll plan ahead of like, okay, what are your favorite locations in San Diego that kind of give off that vibe? And yeah, we'll book the photo session. We'll kind of be ready. We'll pick out the outfits. I know you and me have always like, okay, let's plan out 3 different outfits: business, casual, and then maybe like a fun one.
Yeah, a white shirt always have to awesome socks, which is the worst. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I find after that session, when we go to your favorite places and we kind of get those laughing shots, the candid shots, the more serious professional shots, a good variety of things that play off of you. And I've seen with your profile, like it's cool to see you post them over a series of time in between videos and between your other stuff, and then when we look back on that profile, we see like the colors of blue, and we see the happiness. And I think it really helps agents or any entrepreneurs or personal brand for someone to go to your Instagram or social media right away, and in a split second, they can be like, wow, I kind of get the vibe of what it's like to work with this person. I want to know more. So I think it's a really good introduction when you have this clean feed. And in this very visually appealing feed that someone can kind of feel like they know you without meeting you.
Absolutely. And that's what I've noticed personally, right? So I didn't know what they were. I hadn't done them. I always struggled with what photos do I use when I post to your feed, or I have this really great message that I want to deliver with a caption or a graphic, but I don't have another photo to go with it, right? So for those of you that don't know or haven't done this before, branding shots they're pretty much staged photos, right? Of somebody, like, for example, me looking at my phone, right? That's a photo that's planned with the purpose of delivering a message, like there's subliminal messaging with it. Hey,
give us an example caption, Gio.
Of this? Yeah, it would be like, I can send you day-to-day updates on a new listing. This new tool I have that's an app, so I'm subliminally letting you know it has to do with your phone. I am techie. I will know about technology. I can share my tech with you. And those are the subliminal things that go through.
Yeah, let's do one right now. Ready?
What?
Hold your phone, Gio.
Like a branding shot.
So I'm taking a photo of you. I'm like, Gio, okay, offer accepted.
Oh.
Yeah, step.
Yeah,
See, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's good. That actually is a really good prompt. I mean, nothing makes an agent more happy than like getting a client locked in for, or home locked in for their clients, and that's great news all around. So people can know, that's what I can expect when I get into that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people don't like ambiguity. People like to feel like they kind of can make like a judgment about what it is like to be involved in a transaction with you, and have trust with you.
People have used branding shots forever. It just was new to me at the time. I mean, and maybe you're listening to this being like, okay, I've heard of that. But to me, it was new. And if you haven't used it or implemented it in your business, I think it has its place and can absolutely be used. It's fantastic to have professional photos of you that aren't just on an iPhone. For marketing purposes, I use it for open house signs, for marketing material at open houses, for I've done like a slideshow presentation, and having photos of the things we've done together works really well.
Email signature,
yes.
There's just endless possibilities. And that's a great thing too. I realized when I first started doing branding photography, sometimes it is 10, 15, 30 photos. And at first that might not sound like a lot of photos, but when you look at the multiple purposes of them, of being able to use them in all these facets, it's way better to have 30 really great photos that are really high quality, that are edited very nicely, like hand edited, than it is to have 120 photos that are kind of like maybe a lower quality or kind of like repetitive.
Yeah, so. Of course. And I mean, the quality speaks volumes. So how many branding sessions a year would you recommend, like somebody who's trying to build a brand does?
Yeah, I mean, that totally. It's a
pretty on-the-spot question.
Broad question, and it really depends on like how often someone wants to post and engage with
and use them.
Their clients. Some people, I meet some clients and they want to post every day. I meet some, it's every other day. I would recommend starting out maybe once per month with 15 to 30 photos of just like a photo branding session. And then if you get 15 to 30 photos, that's pretty good for a month if you're posting every other day.
Right.
Because you do have to be able to see how your clients engage with that over a consecutive period of time. So if you get a branding session and you just post one photo and then the next month you post just one photo, it's very hard to calculate that engagement and statistics. And then you can ramp it up from there.
Ramp it up, tone it down if it's not going the way you want. So I want to ask you some questions now for those people out there, and this is something I know resonates with a lot of people. Maybe you're scared to be on camera. You don't know where to start. The idea of creating content, you have to, you want to, but it's overwhelming, right?
Yes, it can be.
It can be, right? And what do you recommend to people like that who are starting out on video? I mean, you've helped. Maybe I've never made a video before. Can you still help me? Is that like something you could still help someone through? Do you, like, tell me about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've definitely worked with a lot of clients who it's their first time getting on video, and these people who have great personalities, they have great value, they're an expert in their field, but it can be very intimidating to see like the black faceless screen there,
right.
And to try and talk to like an inanimate object. But that again goes into the pre-production, and kind of I always dip my toes in when we're first like, hey, let's start out with maybe doing one small video and a few photos, and then we'll ramp it up from there. Let's just get you comfortable. And a big way I spend the first 30 minutes of that shoot is off camera. Hey, let's go over the script and the inflections and those things.
Right.
I always like to think that when you're on video, you're not not being your true self or assuming like a different persona, but you're just elevating your existing self. So that could mean a big part of pre-production is writing out the dialogue beforehand, and then I'll go over it. I'll read through it. Hey, maybe I don't know everything about the real estate process, but over my series of like experiences with people, I've kind of picked up on like different words and better way to say things and inflections. So we'll actually go through and maybe rewrite the script, and then I'll give a week before, hey, go over the script 5, 6, 7 times. So by the time we're on production day, you're already familiar with the script, with what you want to say, with the target audience. You're confident. So by the time that the camera goes on, you're already a bit more familiar.
You're ready to go.
You're ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're like a wealth of knowledge in this aspect because you've seen so much. So let's real quick. I know maybe you don't have the budget. Maybe you're just starting out. What are some tips that somebody who wants to make a video on their own? I mean, do I need all the expensive gear to make a reel or make content, or what do you think? I mean, I know my answer, right? So, and I think you probably know too, but I want to hear what advice would you give to someone who's just getting started and wants to start making some videos? Yes.
I mean, as a videographer, of course, like you're always like kind of going for the professional quality and all those things.
And this will never replace that. Like, I don't think it can. As someone who's used my phone and a camera and everything, I still cannot get the quality that a videographer, someone being there who this is their craft, will bring out, right?
And I totally agree.
To interrupt you on that.
No, that's okay. I that's why I encourage, like, I look at the world, and being a videographer is not just knowing about your field. It's knowing about the entire field of like, how does Instagram operate? How does TikTok operate? You're kind of like a jack of all trades in that sense. And that's why I always encourage my clients, they will book a media day, we'll film 8 professional reels. I always encourage my clients in between then to be getting on their stories with their phone, to be making content on their phone, because let's face it, if you kind of A/B test and you're making a wide variety of content, you're giving the algorithm a chance to test out the different engagement depending on the different style of video. There's some videos where iPhone quality is actually better because it gives this raw and personable feel. There's other instances where professional quality is better because it shows, hey, I'm serious enough about my brand that I'm willing to invest in a videographer to portray myself in this elevated light. I'm super serious about my career, my clients, and elevating my process in this way. And I think that's what helps to separate. It just helps to separate you from kind of everybody else.
Yeah. That's fantastic, and I think those are great tips. It's like there's a place for all of it, right? So don't feel like you have to only do one. It's you really end up doing all of it, and being in real estate means you are a marketer, means you are working in media. Whether you like it or not, you have to.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing when I do hear people. I know that a lot of people can be hesitant with maybe they can't afford a videographer right now, or maybe it's kind of scary, but they want to get started in media. And I would say if you're not already getting your phone out and trying little by little,
it's only going to be harder when you start.
It's only going to be harder when you start. So if people really want to market themselves, they'll find a way to make it happen with an iPhone. It's so accessible now.
Right.
So there's no better time to start than now.
Absolutely. That's great advice. So I think we're coming up on time here. So I just want to ask you, if you don't follow Stormie, where can people follow you at? What is your best account for people to go? It's going to be inspirational. You'll get ideas, and you'll want to go to eat and go to a club all the time. But tell me your account that people can follow you at.
Yes, so you can follow me on my Instagram at Stormie Captures, or I have a website, stormiekadar.com. Then there's YouTube channels, LinkedIn, all of those above. So
absolutely, and that's the best place someone could reach you if they wanted to book like a branding session or maybe a real estate video.
Yeah, so the best way is always reaching out through my website, stormiekadar.com, and then I can kind of give you a pre-survey and have your email there is the best term of contact. But feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, DM.
And that's how we connected.
Kind of all channels, I think, are great ways to connect with people.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stormie. This was awesome. I think I could talk to you like for 3 hours on these topics. We barely scratched the surface. Maybe we'll have to do another one, but thank you so much for being on.
Thanks so much, Gio. Hey, maybe the world's changing so fast. Maybe we'll be able to have our superpowers here in a couple of years.
We'll be teleporting right back.
Teleporting. Yes. Thanks so much, Gio, for having me on your podcast.
That was a blast.
You're the best.
Woo!